Hello friends, I'm Kayla. This is my mid-year book freakout tag, otherwise known as the mid-year check-in, where I share stats, favorites. I also am going to take this opportunity to announce the upcoming Literally Dead book club picks. This doesn't need to be a standalone video. Did you just peek? Did you see? Because it would be like 3 minutes long. So I thought I would slip it into a bigger video where I'm talking about other things. One of the questions in this tag is an anticipated book that you're going to read in the second half of the year. So my most anticipated reads are the ones that we'll be reading together for my Literally Dead book club. We are currently reading With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. That's just out of my reach. And that live show, I have just decided with my co-host, is going to be on August 3rd. So join us to talk about that. And then in the month of August, I put a poll up in the Fable book club that we have where I'm hosting discussions and polls now. I love it over there. I love the way it splits up chapters for you to talk about the book. One of the many things that I like about Fable, so many people participated in the poll. I put up 4 options. There were 2 that have like the same amount of reviews and ratings on Goodreads, so I thought it was going to be between those 2, but apparently this one won out far and away, and that is Julie Chen is Dead by Leanne Zhang. So this book intrigues me because it wasn't on my radar at the beginning of the year, but the more people have been picking it up, they've been tagging me. People have been telling me directly, oh my God, Kayla, this book gets really unhinged. It goes really off the rails and you have to read it. And I feel like I've also had an equal amount of people go, you're not gonna like this one. This is not for you. And that makes me want to read it even more. So I thought, what better to then discuss it together. This is about identical twins, Chloe and Julie. It talks about influencer kind of celebrity culture, which is why I think people are warning me away from it. But Chloe is a super famous influencer. The twins were separated early in life and they've barely reconnected except for one time where apparently Chloe was kind of exploiting Julie, and she made this video about like reconnecting with my twin sister and buying her a house, super emotional or something like that. And then Chloe, the influencer, dies, and Julie decides to just step into her shoes and take over her life. But she learns that, I don't know, being an influencer isn't all it's cracked up to be, but more so, I think she ends up in like an actually dangerous situation because somebody killed Chloe, and obviously they know about it. So Julie taking over, like, isn't that going to put a target on her own back? There's a moment where they go to an island retreat with other influencer friends. So if you are someone who follows like the beauty influencer, you know, brand trips and all the drama that comes along with those, I think this could be a fun fictional situation in a similar vein. So I'm really intrigued to see what we all think about this. I'm going to be joined by Naomi, and I have another spot or 2 open. If any of my besties want to join, if you make content, let me know. If you want to read this with us and discuss it and co-host, I would love to reach out to a couple of you to see who's into it. And then in September, we are, of course, going to read Stephen Graham Jones. This is a bind up of 2 novellas of his. One was already previously published just as an audiobook. So I never ended up picking it up. It's called The Babysitter Lives. And then the newest one is Killer on the Road. So these are each around 250 pages. So pretty decently long for novellas. And we did a whole novella book club situation last year where we read 3 of them. And I asked you if you were interested in recreating that or if you'd rather do short story collections like we did. We tried out a couple things last year and people definitely said novellas were more interesting. And I thought, what about 2 thick novellas from my favorite author, who this is going to be the 4th time we've now read Stephen Graham Jones for the book club. This just sounds like so much fun. Both of these stories follow teenage girls. In The Babysitter Lives, she is babysitting these 2 kids, and something bad happened the last time she was babysitting, so she's trying to keep extra care of these children when there's some kind of haunting or something in the house that puts everybody in danger. And then Killer on the Road is about a girl who is running away from her family, but she gets tracked down pretty quickly by friends and family, and there's like 5 of them now who are on this road trip. It's actually an intervention for her, trying to get her help in some way, disguised as a road trip. But turns out there's a serial killer that's been on the highway for the last 3 years. He sees them and he wants to track them down and kill them. So it's just a survival run for their lives. Oh, and I'm gonna be reading this talking about it with Jenny. Jenny has been on the channel before, and Bree has been on the channel before. So both of them are gonna kindly join me to discuss this. They both have history with Stephen Graham Jones, so I think it'll be an interesting discussion together. He's my favorite author, so I'm just expecting this to be a 5-star, obviously, but we'll see. So those are our next 2 picks, and then I will announce October and November in my fall TBR that should come out in like September. So that should give everybody enough time, enough notice. I mean, Liam is on the other side of this wall playing video games, being very loud. So if you can hear him, I don't know what to tell you. That's my explanation of what it is. It's summer break. He's having a ball. Now into the actual proper tag. The first question that I like to ask is, how is your reading year going? Just like an overall halfway through the year, how do you feel about what has happened? I like to ask people like what genre they're reading more, their average rating, that kind of thing. If you want to let me know down below what your favorite read has been and what you've been, like what's been different about your reading year and how you feel about it. That's what I want to know. I want to say that my reading year isn't going great because I have a 3.6 average rating, which isn't like incredible. This time last year, I had a 3.5. So it is technically better. But what's interesting is this time last year, I had 17 5-star reads. And right now I only have 8 5-star reads. So literally half the amount of favorites. And that is how the year feels. It feels like I haven't had a lot of gems, but I know that I've had so many 4 stars that it doesn't feel like the year's been a flop. I just know that I am desperately grasping for some more like favorites of all time. But also this time last year, I had 30 books that I absolutely hated under my belt. And at this point in the year, I only have 15 books that I've hated behind me. This is not all the books. I have read, what have I read? 116 as of July 1st. And I think only like 86 are back here. So I'm missing quite a few. I didn't reserve any library books again. I've been reading quite a few books that I don't have physical copies of. But this is a representation of most of what I've read. And I can go through the genres that I have been reading. The biggest stack, how do I show you? The biggest stack over there is fantasy. This little stack is like my romance or erotica, whatever. That one back there is horror. Don't you feel like horror is a little smaller than it should be? This one right here is mystery and thrillers. The tallest one in the back is general fiction. This one is sci-fi. I have 3 nonfiction and then just a couple here like short story collections, I don't know, a classic, and a graphic novel. And pretty much the genre that's responsible for me having a 3.6 average rating, even though I only have 8 5-stars to speak of, is the general fiction. There is so much fiction that I have given 4 stars. I've pretty much given all the general fiction 4 stars. So as far as what I've been reading and enjoying the most, like my 5 stars are mostly in speculative and nonfiction like they usually are, but the fiction has been going really well. And I think the theme of the year is mess. I describe a lot of the books that I'm liking this year as just being super messy. You might put Magnolia Parks in the romance category instead of general fiction, which is like makes sense. But the thing is, I just am loving for the mess. And these both deep cuts and the favorites are the perfect embodiment of mess. And they're the first time in a while that I've enjoyed like fame adjacent stories. This one's about figure skaters. This one's about musicians. And they're not so much about dealing with, you know, the pressures of fame, but it's about their obsession with something that is shooting them towards fame and accolades, and they're so messy. Their relationships are just like itching something really good for me. Then of course my biggest general fiction win of the year has been Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Let's move on to favorite book. Okay, my favorite book has been To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. At this point I can't imagine this not being my favorite book of the year, and I fear pitching it because when I say something as a favorite, like oftentimes it, you know, has something really twisty or something really impactful about it. And I don't even think that's what this is to me. It's just a really well-structured novella, and I appreciate this so much. I just think it's kind of a masterclass in writing a novella. It's about these astronauts years in the future, and they are very separated from Earth. Like their communication is like 15 years behind. And so they're super isolated and they have to make all of these decisions for themselves. It's a very cozy feeling though. It's a small tight-knit group who've been together for a long time. They know each other implicitly. That's it. Like that's just the vibes of the book. Yes, they're going to planets and they're investigating different bacteria and creatures and things, but it's more so just about this like kind of warm environment, considering humanity and life, you know, the morals around space travel and what they're doing. It was simple and so successful. For the best sequel question, I unfortunately once again have to mention Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates, which I wish I didn't have to, but I'm not going to pretend that I didn't read these and that I didn't think that they were such a fun time, even though Jessa Hastings is so embarrassing about her takes on AI that I've been seeing on Instagram. It's a real shame that her takes are what they are about generative AI, seeing as how most of us feel about it in the book space. I have been having a decent time with sequels overall, though. I think these were all like 4 stars. So we have the sequel to Gideon the Ninth, the sequel to Finley Donovan, wait, what's the first book? Finley Donovan, oh my god, I don't remember. The first Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies book, and Every Heart a Doorway. I've liked all of these. Next question, favorite reread. That has been I'll Give You the Sun. It's strange because I thought this was going to be my year of rereads, and I at this point don't really know what I'm going to do, because I really was going to reread a couple books every single month to solidify like my top 10 of all time by the end of the year, and I've really given up on that. I think unfortunately at the beginning of the year, I reread a bunch of things for a few videos, and I hated almost all of them except for this one and the Emily Henry A Million Junes, which I kept my 4-star rating. This one I kept my 5. And so I just don't really feel like rereading anything anymore. But this one about twins, it's YA, it's about art, a couple different timelines, relationships, and it's got this like metaphorical, beautiful writing. It hit for me 10 years ago, it hit for me now. New release I haven't read yet. Okay, you know what? I thought I was gonna reread a bunch this year, I thought I was gonna have my summer of romance, and I still could, but I haven't really kicked it off yet because I've been so distracted by all the videos that I wanna make. But I really did intend to, well, are these new releases? This one at least is a new release. This is like, if I could pick anything from my TBR shelf to read today, it's this one, When Javi Dumped Mari, which is a Friends to Lovers romance, where they've spent their entire lives approving or disapproving of each other's love interests, and she goes off to like get married to someone that he doesn't agree with, and then realizes that he actually loves her. Oh my god, I cannot wait to read that. And then I picked up these, I guess they're not new releases. Well, maybe this one is, I don't even know. But I wanted to read some historical romance. This is a sequel to a book that I gave 5 stars. If there's no other moment in this video to talk about this, this would be my second answer for favorite book of the year, The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. Just a silly, light fantasy romance that's historical, and there's a sequel. And then The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, which is like mystery romance in Victorian society. So I guess those are the hauled books that I wish I had gotten to by now. And then another new release is The Compound. There's a reason I haven't read this yet. It's because it's my besties book club pick, and we'll be discussing it in a live show in like September. So I want to wait until a little closer to the live show date to read it. But it's like survival and reality TV together, and I think it's gonna be so good. It's gotten not great ratings so far, which really encourages me more that it's gonna be for me. Next question, your most anticipated read for the second half of the year. Okay, I have a couple. Obviously, the Raven Cycle graphic novel. I don't think I'm gonna love this because I don't like graphic novels, but obviously I'm going to consume the thing that my favorite series is being turned into. Like, I still can't believe I'm gonna have that in my hands in the next like month. The other ones I'm really anticipating, Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola, because I think Honey and Spice maybe is my favorite romance book, and that is the sequel to it. Did I ever want a sequel? No, the same way I never wanted a graphic novel about the Raven Cycle, but I'm going to read them, obviously. I'm really intrigued by Katabasis, or however you pronounce it, by R.F. Kuang. I've been trying to avoid any early ARC reviews because I've heard that people aren't loving it, but I don't want to know anything about it, so I think it'll be my favorite thing. And then Isle in the Silver Sea is a queer sapphic romantasy coming up that I think is going to be really good. And then there's a bunch of horror nonfiction that I'm super intrigued by, and I still don't know if I want to do a video where I just recommend a bunch of horror nonfiction, or if I want to do one where I read a bunch of horror nonfiction, or how could I combine both of those ideas? Let me know in the comments below. Next question, your biggest disappointment of the year. Okay, I have to say The Great BBL by Emily Henry, just because I like most of her books. That one was not for me. I thought it just needed a lot more time and attention, but I understand not everybody feels that way, so it might just be a me thing. The one that I hated the most is at the bottom, but I'll get it. No, I did it. My biggest disappointment was probably The Wishing Game, just because it had so much potential, and I love books about books, and I love books about competitions. So the fact that all of these people are invited to this like reclusive author's island to participate in some games, like where was the game? Where was the mystery? Where was the intrigue? The relationships were weird. Yeah, I just thought this could be a real win for me. Even though this one was a 3.5, I have to say Eat the Ones You Love was a disappointment, because the last Sarah Maria Griffin that I read was a 5-star, and anything that I pick for the Literally Dead Book Club I obviously think is going to be incredible, and I hope is going to be incredible, and so it has to be a disappointment. Like, how is a book about a sentient plant who eats humans not my favorite book of the year? Like, that's frustrating. I'm also gonna say one of my DNFs of the year, Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I don't even think I've talked about anywhere. I got 20% into that book, tried the physical, tried the audiobook. It was so deeply not for me, and I thought I could love that type of fantasy situation. I just think lit RPG is not my thing. I actively hated how it was written, so I could not persevere through it. Biggest surprise is next. Okay, I think everyone is just gonna say this one, so I might as well say it. It's Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, because it's a dark romance. When have I ever given a dark romance a high rating? But this is so goofy and fun, and no, I don't think by liking this I'm condoning stalking being romanticized. If you like things like Finley Donovan or Dial A for Aunties and like the wackadoodle kind of thriller books, there's a little element of that in here, as well as, don't get me wrong, a lot of really explicit sex and an uncomfortable relationship dynamic, but also a sweet relationship dynamic at the same time. Let that be the last time I ever have to talk about that book. Another big surprise is another 4-star, Deep Cuts. I have been thinking about this a lot recently, and I wonder if I reread it, if I would give it a 5. I know this is not going over well with so many people, but the academic, like, essay style writing of this that feels like nonfiction, so my taste. I didn't think that I could love a book about people creating music to rise to celebrity status and be performing in front of people. And it is more intimate, and it's about a relationship, and it's about the love of music more so than the rise to fame. And so maybe that's why I loved it, but I really did love, every time I look at this, I say I love it, and I gave it a 4. I gave it like a 4.25. I think I'm wrong. I think this is a 5. I must reread it. And I'm also gonna go ahead and say The Will of the Many. Like, yeah, there are elements of this that are for me, for sure. It's set like in a school, and we're following one character, and they're learning things and keeping secrets, and there's a kind of competition element to it. But because of how big it is and how intricate like the magic system kind of exists in the society stuff, I didn't think this would be a 5-star, but this is one of those few 5 stars that I've given this year. Next question is your newest favorite author. So I don't think I've technically read a book by an author this year that is officially a favorite author, because I have to give an author 3 5-stars or 4.5-star ratings before I can officially put them on that very exclusive list. But because I gave this a 5, and I also read A Psalm for the Wild Built, these are both by Becky Chambers, and I gave them both high ratings. Like, this was a 4. I guess she is technically my favorite author of the year so far that I'm having a good time with. And I didn't think that would be a thing, because the last thing that I read from her, I DNF'd whatever that book is called like 3 times before I actually finished it. I did give it a 4 by the end, but I like her novellas better. I think I could continue to give her novellas really high ratings. Also, Ling Ling Huang comes to mind. This was a 4.5-star, and I gave her last book a 5. So if I read her one more time, which of course I will, if I give that a high rating, which of course I will, then she can be a favorite author. Immaculate Conception is gonna be, I think, my most recommended horror of the year. This was so solidly good. Yes, it was a slow build, but if we have similar taste in horror, you have to read this. As always, the favorite character question is so difficult. I don't know why, I just don't read books and fall in love with characters the way that other people do. I think I fall in love with relationships, so maybe I should just switch this to like my favorite pairing of the year, in which case it remains Emily and Wendell. I adore Emily and Wendell. If I had read another Veronica Speedwell at this point in the year, I would say Veronica and Stoker, but it's Emily and Wendell. I love their back and forth. Not in this one as much as the first book, but they still remain like my favorite couple. I'm obsessed with them. Just chasing fairies and being academics and being smart and having like that's it. It's so good. A book that made you cry is next, and I think everybody knows my only answer to that one is Wild Dark Shore. I think this is the only book that I've cried reading, but maybe it's the only one that I filmed myself reading and crying over, so that's why it sticks in my mind. This book really hurt me. It was so rude what this book did, and I'll never get over it. A book that made you happy. The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. This and Lights Out. Oh God, I thought I was done talking about this. These are the only two books I think that I was actively cracking up while reading, like laughing out loud, sitting in my bed, giggling over. I'm not a giggler, but I had a time with this. I think there's only one 5-star fiction book that I haven't spoken about yet. So I actually also want to answer this for author that maybe not favorite author, but author that I really want to read more from. In fact, I just picked up a book. This is a collaboration of authors, Michaela Clements and Anjali Datta. They are a married couple who write together. This is the horror book, Feast While You Can. I loved this. I just picked up The View is Exhausting from the library, so I want to read from them again. And I just feel like that one's going to be highly rated because also it's messy. Second last question is book you need to read before the end of the year. I'm thinking maybe not so much about specific books because there's like 100 of them. Although let me give you a juicy answer just for fun. Behooved. I'm gonna read Behooved in the next couple weeks. Get ready for that. So that's something that I'm looking forward to reading. I have to read it by the end of the year for a video. But something that I am really focused on is this stack that I've barely touched in this entire video. It's the mystery thriller stack. I haven't had huge wins. I haven't had huge misses either, but I am just struggling with mystery thrillers. I think this is the second year in a row that this has been the case, that halfway through the year, I'm like, I haven't had a 5-star mystery thriller. How have I gotten to this point? This is crazy. So if the question were to be what's a goal for the second half of the year, which I'm now switching the question to, maybe it's gonna be this one, but I wanna find a 5-star mystery thriller by the end of the year. I don't know how to do it. I don't necessarily wanna make like a whole bunch of content about mystery thrillers. I wanna just slip them in naturally when I'm interested. Obviously I have Literally Dead Book Club ones that I'll be reading, but I just really want to find some more mystery books that I adore. I've had some 4 stars, don't get me wrong. These were my favorites of the year. If you were wondering, Look in the Mirror by Catherine Steadman and You Were Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. If you have any recommendations for me, I'm always open to them. And then last question, I do not have an answer prepared whatsoever, and it's like your favorite video that you have made. So let me scroll really quickly and think, because nothing stands out to me. Like, yes, I had a fun time putting together the Reddit vlog or the dragon vlog. Kind of want to say my sentient object romance vlog, just because I read some interesting books that were very strange and outside of my comfort zone. I remember that one being fun to edit. And then my favorite video series is the buzzword videos, because I hang out with my mom every single month and we go book shopping together. So I guess that has to be my favorite. I feel like I usually have more answers, like I'm going, but maybe I haven't posted anything really interesting. So hopefully the second half of the year is more creative ideas. I feel like I've been creative, but maybe I haven't. So anyway, look forward to more better videos from me, apparently. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below any answers to the questions you want to answer, recommendations, 5 stars. I love to hear everything from you, and I will see you in a video in a couple days. Bye!